back, okay? Hold on.
Get your hand back.
Stop! I'm finna get me up.
If you don't stop, you're gonna drown.
Get me up.
Put your hands behind your back. Stop.
This man's attempt to escape a minor charge was the very act that guaranteed his felony conviction. His desperate flight through an open field did not represent a calculated bid for freedom, but rather the catastrophic failure of a simple deception. He was not running from the law. He was running from the consequences of his own unraveling narrative, a panic-fueled sprint into a self-made legal quagmire. The physical chase was merely the final, violent symptom of a psychological contest he had already lost. To understand how a routine traffic stop for following too closely could devolve into a muddy, desperate struggle against arrest, one must deconstruct the subtle chain of events where small inconsistencies compounded into unavoidable probable cause. The man's ultimate capture was not an accident of circumstance, but the logical endpoint of a flawed strategy, where every lie told to conceal a small truth only served to expose a larger one. He believed he was outmaneuvering the officer, but in reality, he was simply building his own cage, one misstatement at a time. The swampy water he was eventually subdued in was not the obstacle, it was the inevitable destination for a journey built on falsehood. The entire sequence began with a disarmingly mundane infraction. An officer initiated a traffic stop, citing that the driver was tailgating the vehicle ahead.
Hey, how are y'all?
Fine, and yourself?
Good. Hey, I'm stopping you because you're following too close to the cars in front of you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Did y'all pull up the highway as well?
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah. I just felt like I was gonna throw it.
The interaction was initially routine, with the female driver appearing nervous and attributing her erratic driving to a sudden bout of nausea. This served as the first layer of their defense, an attempt to garner sympathy and deflect further scrutiny. The officer, maintaining a professional demeanor, proceeded with standard protocol, requesting the vehicle's registration. The presence of a man, DeMario, in the passenger seat holding a baby added a layer of domesticity to the scene, seemingly lowering the stake. However, the officer's training compelled him to look past the surface presentation. A faint but distinct odor of marijuana emanated from the vehicle, providing the first tangible piece of evidence that contradicted the occupant's portrayal of an ordinary family journey. The officer's questioning remained calm and procedural, but its focus began to shift from the traffic violation to the potential presence of illegal substances. He noted what appeared to be marijuana residue on the driver's clothing, a detail she would later deny. This observation became a critical anchor for the officer's developing suspicion. The driver's simple denial was the first crack in their facade. A small, observable fact was being contested, signaling a fundamental unwillingness to be truthful. The investigation's pivotal turn came not from physical evidence, but from a simple question about their travel plans. When asked about their destination, the driver and passenger provided conflicting accounts. One claimed they were headed to Texas, the other to Louisiana.
There is no reason.
Okay, well then why? Why are they different?
Because we were gonna go to Houston as well.
This discrepancy, seemingly minor, was a fatal error. For the officer, it transformed the encounter. It was no longer about a potential small quantity of marijuana. It was now about why two people in the same car would lie about something so fundamental as their destination. This inconsistency provided the officer with reasonable suspicion that a larger criminal activity was being concealed. The logic is simple. Innocent people, even if nervous, rarely have conflicting stories on basic fact. The lie became more significant than any contraband it might have been intended to hide. It gave the officer the legal and tactical leverage he needed to escalate his inquiry. He now had a clear basis to detain them further and probe deeper, moving from a position of simple observation to one of justified investigation. The occupants, in their attempt to control the narrative, had inadvertently surrendered control of the situation entirely. The officer's methodical approach capitalized on this newfound leverage. He requested permission to search the vehicle, which the driver refused. This refusal, while within her rights, further solidified the officer's suspicion. Based on the smell of marijuana, which provides probable cause in many jurisdictions, and the conflicting stories, the officer had sufficient grounds to conduct a search regardless of consent. The occupants' strategy was failing. Their attempts to deflect and deny were now actively working against them, building a compelling case for a thorough search of the car. As the search began, the tension escalated. The driver became increasingly agitated, attempting to make phone calls against the officer's direct orders, a clear sign of mounting panic. It was during this systematic search that the stakes were irrevocably raised.
Turn your phone off. I've already said to stay off your phones. Turn it off.
Well, I'm not gonna
Stay off your phone.
I'll stay off of it.
You can stay off your phone. And you're going to listen to us or you're going to go in handcuffs. Stand up.
Concealed within the vehicle, the officer discovered a bottle of pills. This discovery was the catalyst for the final breakdown of DeMario's composure. The situation had now spiraled far beyond a minor marijuana issue. They were now facing potential felony drug charges. For DeMario, who was already harboring the secret of an outstanding arrest warrant for a domestic incident, this discovery was the breaking point. The layered pressure of the initial stop, the failed deception, the inevitable search, and now the discovery of the pills created an unbearable psychological burden. It was in this moment that rational calculation was abandoned, replaced by a primal instinct to flee. He saw a closing window of opportunity and made a decision based not on logic, but on pure desperation.
What's in there?
I'm just seeing if it's the same kind of bottle. So are these yours?
If you open the bottle, it's like Tylenol. The other bottle is like Tylenol and amoxicillin and stuff.
Who rented the car?
DeMario's flight was a profound tactical miscalculation, an act that perfectly illustrates the concept of panic-driven decision-making. In his mind, running offered a sliver of a chance at escape, a chaotic alternative to the certainty of arrest. What he failed to comprehend was that the act of running itself constituted a new and more serious crime. He was no longer just a suspect in a drug investigation. He was now actively and violently resisting arrest. The subsequent chase was brief and ended predictably. His capture in a muddy field transformed him from a person facing drug charges to an individual who had physically opposed law enforcement, adding a charge of resisting with violence. This single, impulsive decision amplified his legal jeopardy exponentially. The initial issue of the pills and the pre-existing warrant became secondary to the immediate, observable crime of his flight and resistance. He had, in effect, confessed his guilt through his actions and handed the prosecution its strongest possible case against him. The officer's body camera would not just show the discovery of contraband, but the visceral, undeniable evidence of DeMario's violent attempt to evade justice.
Mary, you want to just watch him? I'll see if I can find him.
I just took him out of his hand.
Man, what? Don't lean on me, bro. You ain't gonna do that to my boys and then act like that.
I can't see.
This scenario serves as a clinical study in the psychology of criminal flight and the contrasting composure of trained law enforcement. As an expert analyst later pointed out, criminals rarely plan their escapes. They improvise out of panic. DeMario's decision was not a strategy but an emotional reaction. He hoped that nature, the open field and the swampy terrain, would cover his tracks. Yet, the environment is an indifferent actor. It does not care about a suspect's freedom and often contains its own dangers, be it bacteria, snakes, or simply mud that hinders escape. Panic never wins against officers who are trained to maintain their composure and execute a plan. The officer's pursuit was not driven by emotion but by procedure. He closed the distance, controlled the suspect, and secured the arrest. Accountability always catches up, whether it arrives on dry pavement or in mud-soaked clothing. In the back of the police car, the full picture came into focus.
Breakup, right? I went to go split up with her. I met a new chick. I text her and I said, hey, I'll be to your house at 7 o'clock to get my stuff, right?
Yeah.
When I got there, you know how someone like mush you in your face? No, seriously. You know how someone like mush you in your face? So my reaction slapped her.
DeMario revealed the nature of his original warrant, confirming that his panic was rooted in a history of poor decisions. His attempt to avoid answering for one crime led him to commit another, more serious one. The officer's final words to the driver were not accusatory, but educational. Be honest. Lying about small things makes it seem like you are lying about something much bigger, and it forces law enforcement to heighten their scrutiny until they find the truth. In the end, it was not the law that trapped the man in the mud. It was his own desperate bid for freedom. He ran from the handcuffs, only to find them waiting at the bottom of a swamp, forged by his own panic. His flight was the physical manifestation of his lies, a desperate attempt to outrun a truth that was already known. The mud and water that clung to him were a fitting symbol of the legal and personal mess he had created, a situation far dirtier and more difficult to escape than the simple traffic stop where it all began. The entire event demonstrates a core principle of accountability. The attempt to evade it through deception and flight does not lead to freedom, but to a more aggressive and inescapable form of capture.